Hey there folks, it's Blue here at Blue Bears Games, and for this week's videos, I will be unboxing and then upgrading the Paradox Power Universes Beyond Doctor Who Commander Precon. Before I get to today's video, I want to first take a moment to let you know that if you'd like to help support my channel, you can do so in the following ways. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, share any of my content on your socials so other people can discover it, and or watch some of my many other videos yourself. In addition to that, if you're interested in ways that you can help support my channel monetarily, please read the description of this video, and there you will find a myriad of options for what you can do to help me keep this channel going. Anything that you can do to help is greatly appreciated, and I thank you for it. Now with that out of the way, let's begin. Today's video will be the unboxing of the Paradox Power Precon, where I'll show you everything that comes in the box, including the deck, card by card, and then tomorrow I will release the upgrade guide, where I'll show you some options for what I believe you should take out and add back in to help make the deck play a little better. Just like the previous two Doctor Who Precons that I unboxed, this one also uses the Doctor's Companion mechanic, giving you access to two commanders out of the command zone, and if you want to know exactly how this works, go watch the Blast from the Past unboxing where I explain it all in detail. For now, though, let's look at today's Precon's suggested commander that's on the front of the box, the 13th Doctor. This version of the Doctor is 1 blue, 1 green, and 1 generic mana for a 2/2 legendary Time Lord Doctor with 2 abilities. The first ability is called Paradox and says whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. The second ability is called Team TARDIS and says at the beginning of your end step, untap each creature you control with a counter on it. One thing you should note is that that means any kind of counter and not just +1/+1 counters. As far as the companion for this precon, I didn't recognize who it was from the image on the back of the box, but I'll show you who it is when I open the deck itself. Going based on solely what the 13th Doctor does, I'd have to guess that it deals with casting stuff from exile, which is one of the main ways that Red quote-unquote draws cards, so this should be a pretty straightforward deck. There are many ways to do this, from Foretell to Flashback to basically anything that the timey-wimey deck that I showed you last week did. There are no shortage of ways to cast spells from places other than your hand. I'm not sure how much they go into the counters theme though, and I'm assuming that it may just be done through the 13th Doctor's first ability. So the only way to know for sure is to just rip this bad boy open, and I'll show you what's in the box. So this is what the outside of the box looks like for the Paradox Powers Doctor Who Precon. This one has the 13th Doctor as the suggested commander, and then I'm not sure who the companion would be if there is one for this one, but I'm assuming whoever this is, because I can't read it because I'm basically blind, that's who it is. So I'll talk about that in just a second. Let's open it up, and we'll get to it. Alrighty. There's something that I've been missing for each of these, by the way. The first two I missed. I forgot this is a plane chase set, so it does come with planar die. All of them came with planar die. I just forgot to show you because I didn't find them until later, but this is what the die looks like. I won't be going too much into it, though. Alright, so the actual counters that we're given are +1/+1, and then a couple of other ones. And then TARDIS on the left-hand side this time, and then those. The back one has these as the little ones that I have no idea what to do with yet. If anybody, again, I've asked this question many times, has an idea, please let me know. The life wheel, this one has the female Doctor on it, the only female Doctor. She was pretty good as far as the Doctor goes. The insert, once again, a little bit about the deck, some extra commander rules, and then, oh, Yasmin Khan, should have known that. Alright, so I guess Yasmin Khan will be the companion for this deck, but we'll find out when I open it up. Here is the deck box, another one where the box is actually a little bent up right from the opening. As you can see, it's a little messed up. I don't know if that's just the set that I got or if it's every single one of them, but it is what it is. So that's what the box looks like. We've got the sample pack, and we've got the plane chase cards. As always, I don't really go into plane chase too much because nobody really plays it. I'll just show you the names of the cards, and if you want to actually read them, I'm sure you can find them online, or you can zoom in on the video. So I'll just go over these real quickly. The Doctor's Childhood Barn, Storm Cage Containment Facility, the Drum Mining Facility, Singing Towers of Beryllium, Fixed Point in Time, Besieged Viking Village, North Pole Research Base, Temple of Atropos, Kerblam Warehouse, and the dining car. Sample pack. Let's zoom for this. And let's open it up. Haven't got anything too valuable out of these. I normally don't. So first card is K9 Mark 1 Special Edition, not foil. And then this is how it ends. Okay. Monetary value? Not sure. We'll have it up there for you. But we're here for the deck. Once again, no pull cord, so good luck to me getting in this. Split the deck in half so that I can go over all the cards. And here we go. So I've already told you what the 13th Doctor does. This is the thick version. They started putting them in the front instead of the back now. Here's the actual legal version that you can use for Commander. And then the partner is Yasmin Khan. So Yasmin Khan, this is a red companion, and it is a 4-cast 3/3. You can tap it and exile the top card of your library, and until your next end step, you may play it. And again, this is a Doctor's Companion. So that's, I think, how this deck is going to play out, is dealing with a lot of exile. So let's go over the rest of the deck. Danny Pink, 4-cast 4/3 with Mentor. And then it has creatures you control have whenever one or more counters are put on this creature for the first time each turn, draw a card. Osgood, Operation Double. 4-cast 2/2 says whenever you cast this spell, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's not legendary. It taps to add a colorless, and then this mana can only be used to cast an artifact spell or activate an ability of an artifact. And then it has another ability that says whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, investigate. Twice Upon a Time, so this one has 2 spells because it has an adventure. So the main spell is 6 to cast and says cast a spell only if you control 2 or more doctors, and you take an extra turn after this one and then exile it. So this is the Time Walk that was from the first deck, or extra turn spell, whatever you want to call it. And then there's an adventure, Unlikely Meeting, that's a sorcery that says search your library for a doctor card, reveal it, put it in your hand, and then shuffle. Become the Pilot. It's 5 to cast for an aura enchantment. You enchant a commander creature, and you gain control, or you control the enchanted creature. So this steals somebody else's commander. The enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and can't be blocked unless it's attacking its owner or a permanent its owner controls. Quantum Misalignment, 5 to cast sorcery, says create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except it isn't legendary, and it has rebound. Nardole Resourceful Cyborg. It's a 2 to cast 1/2. Has an ability that you can tap it to add a blue for each counter on it, and this mana only can be used to cast non-creature spells. And then it has Undying, and it's a Doctor's Companion. Flatline, 3 to cast instant, that has creatures your opponents control have a base power and toughness of 0/1 until end of turn. Bill Potts is a 4 to cast 2/4. It says whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets only Bill Potts, or activate an ability that targets only Bill Potts, you copy that spell or ability, and you may choose new targets for the copy, and it only triggers once a turn. Also a Doctor's Companion. Into the Time Vortex is a 5 to cast sorcery with Cascade and Rebound. Dan Lewis is a 2 to cast 2/2 that says non-creature, non-equipment artifacts that you control are equipments in addition to their other types, and have equipped creatures get +1/+0 and equip 1, and this is a Doctor's Companion. Flaming Tyrannosaurus is a 7 to cast 5/5 dinosaur with Menace, an ability that says whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, this deals 3 damage to any target, and then put a +1/+1 counter on it. Then the last ability says when it dies, it deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. Alright, Ryan Sinclair, 3 to cast 2/2. It says whenever it attacks, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. You cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost. If it's a spell with mana value less than or equal to Ryan's power, and then put the exiled cards not cast this way on the bottom of your library in a random order, and this is a Doctor's Companion as well. Return the Past. 6 to cast enchantment that says as long as it's your turn, each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard has flashback, and its flashback cost is equal to its mana value, or cost, mana cost. Impending Flux. 3 to cast sorcery. Says it deals X damage to each opponent and each creature that they control, where X is 1 plus the number of spells that you've cast from anywhere other than your hand this turn, and it foretells for 3. The Flux is a 4 to cast saga with 6 chapters. Chapter 1 reads, the Flux deals 4 damage to target creature and opponent controls. Chapters 2 through 5 read to exile the top card of your library, and you may play that card this turn. And the final chapter says to add 6 red mana. Sisterhood of Karn is a 2 to cast 0/0, and it enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter. And then whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, double the number of +1/+1 counters on it. Graham O'Brien is a 2 to cast 2/2 with an ability that says whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, you create a food token, and it is a Doctor's Companion. Carvanista Loyal Lupri. I don't know if I said that right. A 5 to cast creature that has an adventure. So I'll read the main card first and then the adventure. The main card is a 5/5 with Vigilance, Trample, and Haste, and whenever it attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on each human that you control. And the adventure is called Lupari Shield, which is a 2 to cast sorcery adventure. It says humans you control gain indestructible until end of turn. If you don't know how the adventures things work, just send me a message or put it in the comments and I'll explain it. The Foretold Soldier is a 4 to cast 6/6 that says it must be blocked if able, and then it can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. And whenever it deals damage, exile it face down, it becomes Foretold, and the Foretell cost is 2. The Fugitive of Judun, 5 to cast saga with 3 chapters. Chapter 1 says to create a 1/1 white human creature token with Ward 2 and a 4/4 white alien rhino creature token. Chapter 2 says to investigate, which means you create a clue token. And Chapter 3 says you may exile a human that you control and an artifact you control, and if you do, search your library for a Doctor card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. River Song is a 3 to cast 2/2 that has 2 abilities, it looks like. It says you draw cards from the bottom of your library rather than the top. Interesting. And then whenever an opponent scries, surveils, or searches their library, you put a +1/+1 counter on the River Song. Then River Song deals damage to that player equal to its power. Madame Vastra, or Vastra, 4 to cast 3/3, has partners with Jenny Flint, and then it must be blocked if able. And whenever a creature dealt damage by Madame Vastra this turn dies, create a clue token and a food token. And there's the partner, Jenny Flint. 3 to cast 2/2, obviously it partners with Madame Vastra. First strike, training, and whenever you sacrifice a clue or food, put a +1/+1 counter on another target creature that you control. Strax, what is that? Sontaran Nurse, 5 to cast 5/5 with Vigilance and Trample. Then an ability that for 2 and tapping and sacrificing an artifact, you choose a player at random, and when you do, Strax fights another target creature that player controls, and then whenever Strax deals damage, not combat damage, but just damage to a creature, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. The 12th Doctor, 5 to cast for a 4/4 that says the first spell that you cast from anywhere other than your hand each turn has Demonstrate. Demonstrate means that when you cast this spell, you may copy it, and if you do, choose an opponent who also copies it. And if it's a permanent spell, it becomes a token. And then the other part of this card says whenever you copy a spell, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. The Fugitive Doctor is a 5 to cast 4/4. It says when the Fugitive Doctor enters the battlefield, you investigate. And then whenever the Fugitive Doctor attacks, you may sacrifice a clue. And when you do, target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback 4 until end of turn. Me, the Immortal, is 5 to cast for a 3/3. That says at the beginning of combat on your turn, put your choice of a +1/+1 counter, first strike counter, vigilance, or menace counter on Me, the Immortal. The fact that this doesn't start with an indestructible counter, or at least has indestructible to start, is very weird. Counters remain on Me as it moves to any zone other than a player's hand or library. You may cast Me from your graveyard by discarding 2 cards in addition to paying its other costs. Should have been an indestructible from the get-go. Frostfair Lurefish is a 7 to cast 7/7. When Frostfair Lurefish enters the battlefield, you create 2 1/1 blue creature tokens and 2 tapped treasure tokens. And then fish you control have haste and can't be blocked by humans, and it foretells for 5. Lunar Hatchling is a 6 to cast 6/6 with flying and trample, basic land cycling of 2, and an escape cost of 6. Heaven Sent 2 to cast Saga with 3 chapters. The first 2 say to investigate, and the final chapter says that it deals 1 damage to each opponent. Then, if an opponent has 0 or less life, draw 7 cards. Otherwise, exile Heaven Sent, and you may cast it this turn. Last Night Together is a 5 to cast sorcery that says to choose 2 target creatures. You untap them, put 2 +1/+1 counters on each of them. They gain vigilance, indestructible, and haste until end of turn. And then, after this main phase, there is an additional combat phase. Only the chosen creatures can attack during that extra combat. Riversong's Diary, 3 to cast with imprint. Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell from their hand, exile it instead of putting it into their graveyard as it resolves. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 4 or more cards exiled with Riversong's Diary, choose one of them at random and you may cast it without paying its mana cost. Good shenanigans there. Confession Dial is a 3 to cast artifact that when it enters the battlefield, you surveil 3. And then you can tap it to have target legendary creature card in your graveyard gain escape until end of turn, and the escape cost is equal to its mana cost, plus exile 3 other cards from your graveyard. Clara Oswald, 6 to cast, 2/6. She has an ability called the Impossible Girl. If Clara Oswald is your commander, you choose a color before the game begins, and she is that color. And if a triggered ability of a doctor you control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time and is a Doctor's Companion. Chaos Warp, this is a reprint. Cursed Mirror, another reprint. Carpet of Flowers, a really good reprint. Dreamroot Cascade, so we're going to get into some lands, some dual lands here. Temple of Mystery, Vine Glimmer Snarl, Waterlogged Grove, Desolate Lighthouse, Rockfall Vale, Rootbound Crag, Temple of Abandon, Cinderglade, Sheltered Thicket, Temple of Epiphany, Frostboil Snarl, Storm-Carved Coast, Fiery Outlet, Game Trail, Exotic Orchard, Gallifrey Council Chamber. Alright, so this one says when it enters the battlefield, you surveil 1, you taps to add a colorless, or it taps to add 1 mana of any color, but you can only spend it to cast a Time Lord or alien spell or activate abilities of a Time Lord or an alien. Psychic Paper, this was in the last deck I just did. I'm not really sure I like this card. TARDIS, I've said that many times, I don't like that one. Of course, the Sonic Screwdriver. Start the TARDIS. 2 to cast sorcery that you surveil 2, then draw a card, and you may planeswalk, and it has Jumpstart. Alright, that's the first half. Let's go to the back half. Surge of Brilliance, 2 to cast, instant. Draw a card for each spell that you've cast this turn from anywhere other than your hand, and it foretells. Araxa, Empress of Mars, 4 to cast 5/4 with Trample and Battlecry, and then an ability that says whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, You create a 2/2 alien warrior creature token. That's actually pretty good. It's a 4 to cast 5/4 with trample and battle cry, and it gives you tokens. That's pretty good. Memory Worm, 2 to cast 1/1, and then it has an ability that says whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, Memory Worm deals 2 damage to target player, and that player discards a card, then draws a card, and put a +1/+1 counter on Memory Worm. Decaying Time Loop, 4 to cast instant. Discard all cards in your hand, then draw that many cards, and it has Retrace. Interesting. That's actually not bad if you have a good way to use it. Alright, I'm going to mess this name up. Thajarian Witness, 2 to cast 0/4 with Flash, an ability that says whenever another creature dies, if it was attacking or blocking alone, exile it and investigate. Truth or Consequences, 4 to cast sorcery. It says each player secretly votes for truth or consequences, then those votes are revealed. You draw cards equal to the number of truth votes, and then choose an opponent at random. Truth or Consequences deals 3 damage to that player for each consequence vote. Bigger on the Inside, 5 to cast enchantment. It's an aura that enchants either an artifact or a land. The enchanted permanent has to tap it to have target player add 2 mana of any one color, and then the next spell that they cast this turn has Cascade. Wreck and Rebuild, 3 to cast sorcery. You can choose one of 2 things: destroy target artifact or enchantment, or mill 5 cards, then you may put a land card from your graveyard onto the battlefield tapped, and this has Flashback. Arcane Signet, Soul Ring, Ponder, Think Twice, these are reprints, Preordain, Throes of Chaos, Cultivate, so land ramp, Search for Tomorrow, more ramp, Farseek, Beast Within, decent removal, Growth Spiral, Talisman of Curiosity, Talisman of Impulse, Rogue's Passage, Frontier Bivouac, Reliquary Tower, Mirrored Landscape, Temple of the False God, Path of Ancestry, Command Tower, Ominous Cemetery. This was in a previous one, but if you didn't watch that unboxing, I'll read it. It taps Static Colorless, or you can pay 5, tap it, and exile it to have target creature's owner shuffle it into their library. And then I think we're going to get into lands and tokens. So we've got some islands, some mountains, some forests, and then the tokens. I'll go over these real quick. It's a human, fish, clue, food, treasure, alien, alien warriors, more alien warrior, copy tokens, some trash. And on the backside, treasure, Osgood, an actual token for Osgood, food, alien rhino, copy. And that, my friends, is what is in the Paradox Power Universes Beyond Doctor Who Commander Precon. It appears that I was wrong about the +1/+1 counters being solely tied to the 13th Doctor's first ability. There were a lot more ways to get counters on things than I expected. There were also a lot fewer cards that facilitated playing cards from anywhere other than your hand than I was expecting. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, I'm just saying that it was way different than I was expecting it to be. It turns out that this is yet another deck that wants to win by combat damage. However, the difference here is that this one has way more synergy between the commander and the creatures in the 99 than the previous 2 Doctor Who Commander Precons that I did this for. Sadly, that puts me in a bind for the upgrade guide. Both themes in this deck need to be present for it to work, so I can't eliminate either one. I guess what I can do is just try to find more efficient ways to do both, so most likely that's how I will tackle it. That's not set in stone though, as it may change as I do more research, so tune in tomorrow to see what I've come up with for the upgrades. Well folks, that's all for this video, but if you're looking for more content to watch, please go browse my channel and take a look at some of my many other videos. I know for a fact that you'll find some others that you like, and then be sure to check back tomorrow for the upgrade guide. Before you go though, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Have a great day, and hopefully I will see you tomorrow.